Hello and welcome to Laurence Plays. I've been chatting with Crethor, the creator of Foliax, and in this first part we're going to discuss where the mod came from, creating graphics, and why the poison laser has been replaced. How did you get into modding Factorio in the first place?
Well, modding. Let's see. Before Space Age, I played a mod called All the Overhauls mod, and
I've
that
heard of that one, I
has,
think. Yeah.
yeah, they modify everything. Like they take all the overhauls, put it all together, modify it so it all works together. That has SE, and SE has a lot of rules that I don't like. So I would go into their files and modify the mod so that it played correctly for me. So that's like my first stab into that, was just manipulating that. So then I played through Space Age once, found the Gleba plants, loved it, and then I still wanted to have everything on one surface, which is one of my other mods. And so I kind of made, Space Age compressed down, and that was my first foray into that.
Yeah, I've heard of Space Age without space. Is it some? Was that one of yours, or was that the same sort of general idea?
Space is fake is mine.
Okay.
So I made that so I could play everything on one surface. And then I said, well, what if I make it a planet? And then that's where this is born.
I suppose that leads on nicely to the next question, which is sort of what you're aiming for with the mod and sort of the feel and the mechanics and so on. And
Yeah, so with Space is Fake, I had a setting, a rural mode, which just made everything, all the ores from plants. That's how it started. And I liked that. I like the renewable resource kind of deal. And so when I went to the planet, I was like, well, we don't want to do the ores because that's just silly to make ores from it. So then I created like the processing loops, and then the seeding and the spoilage from the seeds and all that just kind of just happened.
so it sort of started off as a basic idea, and then just sort of grew in the implementation of it.
Yeah. So then, the planet became Space is Fake, but a planet, and then, just went with the whole plant idea and just cranked it up to 11.
All right, so I guess that explains the difference between the original version of the mod and the new one, where the first one was very much all of Space Age on a single planet, or at least all the technologies of Space Age on a single planet, and then the new one has been sort of adapted out to make it sort of make it fit better in with a playthrough that involves lots and lots of different planets, but like Planetary Pioneers or anyone else who's doing a similar thing.
Yeah, and I have Space is Fake still, so I can make the planet do its specific thing, and then I just compat back to Space is Fake, so you can get the whole experience on one surface, or you can play it as a planet with its own thing. That's kind of where it evolved.
I guess it depends what you're looking for from your playthrough. I can certainly see how having the entire game condensed onto a single planet is quite nice as a standalone mod. But then for something like Planetary Pioneers, you want something is a single planet with its own feel that doesn't just take all of everything from everywhere else.
Yeah, that's the idea. Condense it down, make it playable as a planet, and then it can be part of the other thing later on.
Yeah, and do you have a feel for sort of whether people tend to mostly play it as a single planet as part of a larger playthrough, or as just the entire thing, or an entire game on its own?
The little bit of feedback I got was people liked it as sort of like a mall planet, where they just build all their things there and then ship them off. Instead of building belts here and things here, they could just build it all there and then ship them out where they need them.
Yeah, I guess we've done that with Norvis, where just because we started in inverted commas there, whereas it might make more sense to do it on a different planet where there's a slightly better supply of resources. Whether that would be Vulcanus is the traditional obvious one for Space Age, but then some in the modded one somewhere like this would be quite good because you have a literally unlimited supply of all the resources. Okay, so what was your favourite part? Both favourite mechanic of the planet and also, I guess, the favourite part of developing it. Is there anything that came together particularly interestingly, or that was a lot of fun to do?
The plant stuff. I really liked creating all the plants. A lot of them are just recolored boom puffs, but it takes a lot to them colored, and I had to pick the sprites for each one and color them and made their explosions and all that other good stuff. And
the explosions took us by surprise the first time, but fortunately the damage was removed.
Yeah. So I like all that, and I like the terrain. Like, I created the whole terrain. I know a lot of people said it looked like Novice, but that's just because I had grass. But like all the noise for how it's all laid out and the interweaving marshes, and I don't know, that was all fun to me.
Yeah, I noticed there's two different types of trees, as you say. There's the slightly boom puffy ones down here, all the different colours, and then you've got the sort of the more corally, I guess.
String fronds. Oh, yeah, the coral. Yeah, but if you look closely, the coral stacks are actually two trees put together. To go down to the little one, I took the not palm but palm trees and put their flowers on top of the coral stacks. Yeah.
Oh, okay, yes, I see what you mean.
So my small amount of artistic ability.
Yeah, I guess as I have a similar level of artistic ability myself, quite a lot of my designs tend to be, yes, pulling things that other people who are a bit more talented than I have done, put together and in the same sort of way. Although I think you've done a better job of it than I usually do. But I have noticed in the Factorio modding community, there's a lot of sort of reusing
Kit
of other
bashing.
people's sprites. Yeah, and kit bashing as well. Also, yes. I think your agricultural towers were basically the Norvian ones, but with a blue tint on them, for example, weren't they? And
Yeah.
these are not those, of course, but.
A lot of my new machines in the rewrite, like I took the electric furnace and the biochamber and smashed them together, or if the mixer here, where I took the biolab vial spinning and placed it on a lightning rod base, but it looks awesome. So that's just the lightning collector base and the biolab vials that spin in the corner.
Oh, yeah, okay.
That took me a long time to line all that up.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Yes, it's sort of one of those things where you feel like if you had the original 3D models, it'd be fairly easy. But when you're working from the sprites, I can imagine that there's a lot of trying to trim very carefully around the edges of things.
Yeah, I don't actually use any 3. Like, I don't know how to do Blender, so it's all done in a photo editor. It's very time consuming.
I can imagine. I've not done much of that sort of thing, but I know that tracing around the edges of sprites or things in photos, both very, very difficult.
Yeah, and every frame, Biolab has 32 frames, so you have to line every single one of those up.
I guess once you've done the first one, you know roughly where it should be, and that makes it a little bit easier. But there's still sort of the fiddly bits of cutting them out and stuff.
Yep, it's fun. It's tedious, but the result is nice.
Yeah, they do look good. And of course, because you're using bits from Factorio, they look appropriate. They fit the theme as well.
Yeah, and they have all the little pieces. That,
Yeah,
you know.
and I guess it fits the sort of the story of the game as well. And the engineer is cobbling things together from bits and pieces. And so yes, he's going to reuse parts from one building on another building. So it fits that side as well.
Yeah, I didn't look at it like that. It's good. The new turret in the rewrite is one of the environmental like lightning collectors from Fulgura.
Okay.
But I like slightly made it a little more high res and colored it blue, obviously. And
sounds a little bit like the Tesla coils or some of the weapons from the CNC games with the lightning.
Yeah,
targets.
the laser beam comes out of the like orb at the top that normally the lightning would be collected from.
That sounds good. I'll look forward to seeing those when we upgrade to that version. So speaking of the poison lasers, one thing I did notice is that they would be incredibly overpowered if you put them on spaceships because none of the asteroids have any poison resistance. Was that something you thought of when you were putting them together, and was it haha, I can make a really really powerful spaceship weapon, or was that a sort of a bit of an unfortunate, well fortunate or unfortunate depending on how you look at it, side effect?
So the origin of the poison laser is also back to the Space is Fake mod, and that I had put pentapods on Novus, and they were very difficult to handle until you got the research for damage increase, and so I wanted something that was there's no poison resistance on them, so I wanted something stronger for that. But then it turns out that I also like them for the platforms because I like the lasers. I know the space age experience is built around bullets, but I kind of just like the lasers shooting things.
Yeah, we have a couple of laser-based ships like this one that are they work quite well, but you need a lot of lasers on the front of them. I imagine if we swapped these out for poison lasers, at least unless we went in and gave the asteroids a bit of poison resistance or massive poison resistance, which to be honest would make sense because it's difficult to poison a rock. Yes, I feel the poison lasers would be incredibly overpowered, and I think that's one of the reasons we've not used them. Because it just seems a bit
silly,
unbalanced. Yes.
So in the rewrite, they're gone, and the arcane towers take over that spot, and I have given everything resistance to arcane, like at different levels.
Okay,
and it will take I think it was 12 laser researches and 12 of the arcane tower researches, like the damage bonus, to make them even break big asteroids.
Okay, so yeah,
it's kind of like a reward now. You do a lot of research, and then you can use them in space.
Yeah, so I suppose it's one of those things where you implement something, and then some lunatic like me comes along and goes, "Hey, this is really overpowered. We can use it here," and you go, "Oh, okay, I guess I better go and balance it then."
Yeah, lots of feedback about that thing.
Yeah, I guess that's sort of one of the things I was thinking of asking about was what sort of feedback have you got that's made you change things, and how does it feel when you get someone like us coming along and then sort of having strong opinions about your mod, and then sort of encouraging you to well, I suppose in this case, encouraging you to completely redesign how the whole thing works.
I actually like the feedback, and I've been on a campaign recently to get the word out about my other mods so people can give me feedback so I can improve it. But I enjoy the feedback.
That's good, because
And
it's one of those things that we try to be constructive about our feedback, but we are also aware that it's something that you've put a lot of effort into, and then having us come along and going, well, this would be better if it did all of these things, can feel a bit sort of frustrating for you. But I'm glad it's not the case.
no, it's great. I like it. Some
suppose-
things I've ignored because I want that. So
Yeah, it's not the
a
feel.
lot
we're
of
going
things
for.
with like the plants and like the repetitiveness, but I like all the tiers of improvement.
Oh yeah, I absolutely like the tiers of have the different improvements. Yeah, going from the hybrid processor through the chemical plant and then up to the biochamber makes. I really like that. I think the thing I was saying felt a little bit repetitive was that all of these recipes use exactly the same recipe. It's always take in one piece of bioflux, 20 pieces of plant matter, and then output some bars and get some of the bioflux and some of the seeds back. The fact they're all exactly the same. Well, I mean, on the one hand, it's a little repetitive putting them all together. On the other hand, it makes it nice and easy to just copy and paste them all through. So because there's so many of them, maybe it's actually a good thing.
Yeah, I compromised and I added a sort of catalyst ingredient to the tier 2 and tier 3s. So like obsidian will have stone, and the oil one will need a little bit of coal, and the sulfuric acid for holmium, or it's just there's a little bit extra.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see, because I did notice the aluminium processing is the one that's different. You make the alumina first and then cook that down into aluminium, whereas all of the other ones are the single step process. So
Yeah,
I think,
and that one now takes steam
okay.
to produce the alumina.
And I guess at that point, it seemed, because I think we did copper and then aluminium, and so that was, those two were different, and then we moved on to whatever this one is.
And they're all the same.
Calcite, and then they were all the same from then on. Oh,
yeah.
All right then. Paste.
I kind of like
paste.
the big production setup too. That's why I like all the plants and all the metals. Everything is available at the beginning.
Yes, I think this is by a significant margin our largest system on a planet, apart from Norvis. With there being so many different things going on, we've got an absolutely enormous, and with it being a bus design, we've got an absolutely enormous layout going on here. So that's it's nice to have something big and expansive.
The bus is wild though. I play with belts and robots, so not belts as in a bus, but just moving things around short distance.
Yeah,
but I don't really play with trains, and I don't play. That's why I really don't like the space logistics, because I'm not really into that. I know I'm a very niche Factorio player for saying that.
The play a logistics game without the logistics is going to be an interesting take.
Yeah, well, I just like building the machines and making other machines build other things, and that sprawling out.
Yeah, and that's one of the nice things about Factorio is it's so open-ended. And with us having 5 different players, and one of the reasons we're deliberately taking it in turns to lead planets is because we all play in slightly different ways. So my planets tend to be very, very belt and bus heavy, and I don't use logistics bots unless there's a really good reason to. Whereas other people slap down a bot wall and so on and so on. So it keeps a variety in there, which I think is good for content creation. So I was thinking about things that you would expect the player to export from this planet, and we've touched on the poison lasers a bit already. The other one that I noticed that is a really effective building is the biolabs on this planet, and they're quite an interesting one because you start off with them being at the sort of standard quality tier. They're probably similar in effectiveness to the Gleben biolabs, but with some different ideas like needing to be fueled and having the tolerance modules in them. But then as you start to upgrade them and get a bit higher and higher quality ones, with the science pack drain plummeting, they suddenly become incredibly effective. And I think that's really interesting because when we've got enough of these that we've upgraded, we're going to go over and start replacing them on Norvis, and we're going to need about 20% of the number of labs we're using at the moment. So yeah, I really like these. I think they're very interesting in that you've had the science pack drain improve with the quality increase. Was that something that was felt a bit weird to do because it's different to the way they work in vanilla, or was it just sort of it fell together quite nicely?
Yeah, I wanted a lab that could keep up with Crethorio's Singularity lab. So these labs are slightly better, fully upgraded than the Crethor lab, which I think runs at 720 speed when it's fully upgraded legendary. Wow. With modules. But these only run 360, I think, but the drain helps increase that to the effectiveness as the other one. But I didn't want like right off the shelf it to be good, so You got to get quality labs, and then I made the specific modules, so you can put those in, but those need to be quality too. And so I feel like it's kind of earned.
Yeah, you really have to work for it. And I imagine once we get these up to higher tiers, they're going to be getting through a lot of fruit juice because with that energy consumption
Yeah,
boost
and
there.
the fuel. And the uranium fuel is the one that you should use. And that one
I
will
think
require a lot.
that's the blue one, isn't it? Yes,
Yeah,
we've got
that's
that
the one.
available, but I think we're just still trying to churn through and this old supply of fruit juice on this planet. When we take them over to Norvis, we're going to be shipping the blue juice over there. So yeah, we'll definitely
So
use that one.
effectively, it doesn't. The Crestorio lab uses a lot of power, but this effectively does the same thing with using the uranium as the burnable fuel. So it's kind of, it's similar to the other thing, but just done differently.
Yeah, I'd say I really like it because it feels really powerful when you see how fast it is and all the possibilities it has. But it also doesn't feel overpowered because with Factorio the challenge is in making the science packs fast enough. So having faster labs just means you don't have to put down quite so many of them. But having them feel really powerful is also really nice, and having the third science pack drain is also really good as well, of course.
And that's an option that's not on by default.
Okay.
You could get a mod to turn that feature on for the regular labs, but the base game comes with that feature off.
Yeah, I've often felt the quality doesn't affect things in the way I would expect it to. Like, I feel if you make a quality belt, it should be a bit faster, for example, rather than just having a bit more health and other things like that. I feel the quality was perhaps not used quite as much as it could have been. So having it here for the science pack drain I feel works really well.
Yeah, I went through like the API docs and found that was there, and I was like, oh, default disabled. Well, we're gonna use that.
Yeah, very sensibly, I'd say.
I was gonna tell the exports in the new mod, or the rewrite rather. The Arcane Tower, which is the improved laser tower, that actually starts with 10,000 health and slowly ticks down to 0. So that requires a significant amount of like arcane cubes to make and can't be repaired. So that will be another export from the planet because you'll have to keep refreshing those.
That's
because
interesting.
after 10 hours they'll just die and they have to be refreshed, so you'll have to keep coming back if like use them in space.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So it's not using up ammunition. It requires maintenance. I like that. That's weird and different. And actually, reminds me a little bit of the captured spawners, where they sort of gradually lose health, but you have to keep feeding them with bioflux or fermented fish. So yeah, I like that. That's an interesting idea. I'll look forward to seeing that.
And in the rewrite, there's also a improved biochamber, a hybrid processor 2, which is basically a biochamber that also does all the Foliax recipes. So that's another export.
So does that replace the biochambers for all of the advanced Foliax processing? Yeah. These ones?
Yeah, it's the same size, and it does all the biochamber recipes. But the unlock for the biochamber is gone from Foliax, and it's the hybrid processor 2.
So with this modified Foliax version, when do you feel it should come in a many planets playthrough? Because we've sort of seen it as the game having various tiers. We start off with the Norvian planets, then there's all these sort of inner ones, then the outer ones, and get out to Aquilo and so on. And then there's a few others. It's often difficult to work out where things should appear. But where do you think Foliax should appear?
Now in the rewrite, I think it's basically glebe improvements, minus like stack inserters. So I would say, it's got some belts too, so like some of the Volcanus belts you can make them there. Yeah, I would just say it's probably in line with, the vanilla planets. You can still start on it. It still has a bunch of the novice unlocks for people that start on it, but it's basically, an improved Gleba now.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, there are quite a lot of people who've made mods for starting on Gleba, Fulgora, Vilcast, so being able to start on Foliax as well makes sense.
Yeah, you get like a tower, you get the turrets from Fulgora, so you get the tower on Foliax. You get the turbo belts and Volcanus, but you can get them on Foliax. So that's like the only things I left in there, like the belts from the Space Age experience. Yeah. But yeah, I would say, it's Gleba adjacent.
Yeah, that makes sense. I feel like most of the I think I'm biased on this one because of the order we've been playing the planets in, and so the ones that stick out to me. But I feel like most of the planets are that sort of tier of the game. Although I'm looking at, I have to admit I'm basing quite a lot of it on where they appear on the map, and I think Cubium should have been a bit further out. But that's a different comment for a different video.
Yeah, it's just they're there because once you reach Aquilo, then you're basically done. Like, once you experience Aquila, once you reach the edge, once you reach the Shattered Planet, I mean, all you're doing, at least for the vanilla game, is increasing your research productivity.
Yeah, in vanilla certainly.
That's also why I wanted to put the Promethium production chain. You guys didn't touch it, but you can make Promethium asteroid chunks on Foliax using all the resources that Foliax gives. And so
Yeah,
that way you can get like your research productivity sooner. Because by the time you reach Aquila, I mean,
there's not
you
much
get
left to do.
a major unlock, but then what are you researching?
Yeah, I guess
Unless you're
that's
going to mega base. So
I guess that's the hope of something like this, where once we get to Aquila, we're still going to have Secretus, Paracelsin, Nexus, and so on. There are still more planets to come afterwards. So, assuming we just carry on working gradually outwards. But yes, I know what you mean. That once you've been to Aquila, you feel like you've more or less done it, and you're getting the late game unlocks at that point is a little bit they're not that useful because you've already done everything.
yeah, and there's a Foliax research productivity too, so you don't have to wait. I know it's controversial, but
I think a little bit of that is probably fine. There essentially is a research productivity in getting the lower science drain of the labs, and there's and then you can put productivity modules in them and so on. So a bit of research productivity seems reasonable. If you could do infinite with just the stuff from Foliax, that would seem a bit overpowered, I suspect. But if it just gets you started and gets you a few percent,
yeah,
then that makes sense.
In the rewrite, though, I also made it an option that you can disable in case it's not your jam.
Yeah, I suppose the problem with options like that is you don't know what you're going to want to disable until you've already started playing it, by which point it's a bit too late. Oh, well.
Yeah. Well, that's good because it's in game and it just cuts the end of the tech tree off. But I took, that criticism to heart too, so I'll make a compromise. I'm keeping it, but you can turn it off.
Yeah, that seems reasonable, especially if there are people who are already playing it with the advanced options and get enabled. Another thing I noticed with the planet being fairly self-contained is that all of the science packs are produced here and used here. So most planets, you make a science pack, you ship it off to Norvis, and the research is done there. This one, you've got all the different science packs for all this planet, and then you ship them into its own labs. And I think that gives it a very different feel, and it means you can have the researches being done while you're on the planet. I think that's quite nice. And I assume that was is that why it was done like that, so you could still have the player do some researches before they leave, before they've got rockets?
Yeah, and I also want it's like with the metals being all available at once, I wanted like all the variations of science packs available at once. So I kind of wanted to do, my own ecosystem with that.
It is certainly interesting. I think it's probably, for advanced players, it's probably absolutely fine, because you go and you go, okay, we've got lots of options. Well, that's a little bit overwhelming, but I know how to do that. I can go through and pick my way through them. But yeah, I think I guess it's the other way around for newer players in base game Factorio, where you get one thing at a time, because then you always know what you're supposed to be doing. You probably don't get beginners playing modded planets, so I think that's absolutely fine. And yeah, give everyone everything and let them go and sort of get stuck into it and do things in whatever direction they want to. Makes sense.
Yeah, and also all the research packs are now done in the mixing station, so when you upgrade, you don't have to rebuild. You just change the recipe and route the new materials. Some are done in EMs, some are done in foundries.
Yeah, okay. Was that the same? So the different generations of the pack would all be done in the same machine, or we may have been changing these around and I've just forgotten because it was so long ago.
I think the first two sets were done in the mixing, and then the last one used upgraded machines.
Okay.
But since I've gone away with the foundry unlocks and the EM unlocks, it kind of makes sense also to put it in the mixing station.
We're going to cut here, but don't worry, we had plenty more to talk about. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on part 2 of this video, and come back on Monday to watch us streaming our latest planetary adventures. I'll also be back on Wednesday for a solo stream, and we'll be releasing videos every Thursday and Friday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.